Welcome back to Encyclopedia.zone. My name is Dr. Don Jolly. I am a freelance writer whose work has appeared in the Los Angeles Review of Books, the Revealer magazine, among others. I am also the editor-in-chief of Encyclopedia.zone, the internet's premier home for literary shitposting. Point your browser to it. You can find some excellent shit right now. And I have been living the last couple of days in fear. Welcome to 2020. I had an excellent Conan day, which is my tradition every January 1st. Ate some pizza, ate some ribs, watched some barbarian movies, and drove my red nails in the Pillar of Vengeance. More about that later. And then I got sick. You know, about twice a year, you get a little head cold. I got feverish. I spent the last weekend in bed, just like sweating it out, coughing, sneezing, feeling like shit. And as I sweated through my feverish delirium, I was bombarded with stories, news stories, about the nightmarish aftermath of the drone killing of Qasem Soleimani, which occurred on the 3rd. And now Qasem Soleimani is the second most powerful person in Iran, according to news sources that I've been reading, the leader of the Quds Force, which is the international wing of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And he is an extremely powerful person, not just in Iran, but in the Middle East in general, deeply involved in a variety of operations happening throughout the region, and somewhat of a hero to large portions of the Iranian people, so much so that when this drone strike killed him, at least, tens of thousands of people took to the streets to mourn him. They were touching his coffin as if he was a martyr. This is a very fucking important person in a foreign state, and we executed him. We assassinated him with a $1 billion Terminator death robot alongside the leader of a Iranian-backed militia operating in Iraq. And since then, things have been going fucking crazy. The Iranians are going after fucking Trump. Trump is talking about how Trump and the Pentagon and his administration are talking about how Soleimani was planning and was an imminent threat to American lives in the region, and that's why it was necessary to kill him. The Iranians are saying that they're gonna come back like crazy against this. Zainab Soleimani, his daughter, spoke at his funeral and called Trump crazy and the slave of Zionists. Trump said that he would retaliate if Iran took any action, and he had a list of 52 Iranian cultural sites that he was going to strike. Striking cultural sites would be a war crime. President Hassan Rouhani of Iran responded on Twitter by saying those who refer to the number 52 should also remember the number 290. Never threaten the Iranian nation. 290 refers to the number of Iranian citizens killed when the United States shot down an airliner in the late 1980s. It seems like all of these fucking long-held grudges were coming to bear. All the chickens were coming home to roost. And that imminent threat language just put the fear and the loathing that I felt in 2003 leading up to the invasion of Iraq. It just brought it all fucking back. So I'm lying in bed in a fever state, never quite sleeping and never quite waking up, and feeling the whole time like the world has gone out of fucking control and we are plummeting towards global cataclysm. On Twitter, World War III was trending, which is a very fucking scary trend. Like, World War III implies that large numbers of people, within the sort of tongue-in-cheeky bounds of the internet, are on one level or another anticipating that human technological civilization is about to unravel itself to such a degree that we have conditions that resemble the First and Second World War. This is very fucking scary. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the UN, issued a statement over the weekend that said even nuclear non-proliferation can no longer be taken for granted. This cauldron of tensions is leading more and more countries to take unpredicted decisions with unpredictable consequences and a profound risk of miscalculations. And, I think he was right. It felt like we were spiraling out of control. Now, when it comes to mass media narratives, I usually try to keep a certain amount of cynical distance because I understand that if something is being broadcast on mass media, it's being broadcast for a reason. People want you to think a certain thing about it. When it comes to war, when it comes to actual military conflict, I am not good at maintaining this cynical distance because people are actually dying, or there is the threat that people will actually die. Um, and I'm not a military person. I've never served, and I have never been to the Middle East. I knew a guy from North Africa. That's as close as I get. And because it's out of my sphere of direct understanding, and it's so far from my spheres of direct understanding, um, I have a tendency to just react to mass media narrative in these things much more so than I do with mass media narrative about domestic events. Because I've been all over the United States. I have at least some tact, I have some like actual uh, like tactile experience of life in various parts of the country. And so when I hear about something happening in Nevada or in New York, I have at least something approaching a frame of reference to think about it as an accessory to my world. But the only place I've been besides the United States is parts of Europe. And, Tehran is a long way from Antwerp, Belgium. So uh, when it comes to news from in this sort of vein, I have a tendency to react and to anticipate the worst because, I am a person of my generation. I was born in 1986. And usually when I'm hearing news about the Middle East, it's because my country is about to start bombing large parts of it uh, to advance some nigh incoherent political narrative. And I do not like that. I don't want it. I am terrified by it. And like the Secretary General of the United Nations said, I think anytime you have countries engaging in this kind of militarism, it is unpredictable and it has a profound risk of miscalculation. And it is those miscalculations, I believe, that could lead to global conflict and not the direct design of any single group of political actors. So that's the thing that I'm afraid of: chaos, global chaos, the unmaking chaos that could fundamentally damage the project of human civilization on this planet. But we are not at war with Iran today, at least to the degree that, the killing of Soleimani is an act of war. So I'm not saying that everybody needs to completely relax, but the president made a statement today in front of a bunch of cartoonishly fat generals saying that he was ready to embrace peace with all who seek it. And also that Iran will never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon, blah, 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 sanctions, 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 all the typical, hardliner shit, with the exception of saying that we were actually going to commit to some kind of extended military activity in Iran. Also, the Iranians made their response to the killing of Soleimani, their official response. Now, over the weekend, they issued a statement saying that their proportional response to the killing of Soleimani would be done with the Iranian military. It would not be done through proxies. And I initially took this as a bad sign because I was sick in bed and I was taking everything as a fucking bad sign. I thought the world was ending practically. So what that actually was the signal that they were going to do what they ultimately did, which is lob a bunch of rockets at American bases in Iraq. According to the Wall Street Journal, the areas of those bases that were struck were actually cleared of personnel and material long before the rockets actually fell. The Pentagon is saying that the Iranians wanted to kill Americans, but that our early warning system prevented it. I kind of suspect that this whole thing is something that's been worked out ahead of time. At the very least, this is something that was anticipated. No Americans died, no Iraqis died, with the large asterisks that there were a number of innocent civilians, including 63 Canadians, that were killed in the downing of a Boeing aircraft that was leaving from Tehran. It was a Ukrainian, I think a 737. But it's not, we don't know what that was yet, officially. The Iranians are holding on to the black box. I think this has the potential to spin in a very, very negative direction. But as of right now, the time that I am making this video, the Iranians made their response. They launched a bunch of rockets. Nobody died, but they got to have their little swinging dick maneuver. The United States has had its swinging dick maneuver, its foolish, foolhardy, disproportionate, and illegal swinging dick maneuver, but it's had its swinging dick maneuver. I think, more so than any imminent threat, in response to the protesters that took over the American embassy in Baghdad last week. And this is part of a pattern of escalating events that actually goes back several months. I mean, several years if you want to track it. But like, if anybody's interested, I could maybe do another video charting the various actions and tit for tat responses that have built up to the killing of Soleimani, which I think, maybe goes back to like last October. That would probably be pretty interesting, but I'm not prepared to do that right now with any kind of direct specificity. But where we are right now, barring new developments, is a little bit of a release. Everybody seems like they're ready to back off from the brink, go back to the economic warfare of sanctions. And one of the nice things that's come out of this event is that the Iraqis have pushed a resolution through their parliament to get all Americans out of their country. This, of course, made Trump freak out. He talked about sanctioning them worse than Iran. Why? And it's a non-binding resolution. The Kurds didn't vote on it. There were a lot of absentees when this resolution was passed, so it might come to nothing. But the Soleimani's replacement too, General Esmail Quani, said that the minimum retribution is to remove America from the region. And, that's very threatening language if you want America to stay in the region. And I'm thinking maybe, we shouldn't. Is it bad that I'm agreeing with the leader of Quds Force? I don't know if it's fucking realistic to think that Americans are going to withdraw out of the Middle East entirely. Although, actually, yeah, I do know. It's deeply unrealistic to think that that is an achievable political goal at this particular moment. But where we are right now, it does feel like people are backing off. And maybe we're re-examining this whole fucking thing. And by we, I mean the United States here and the various power structures that got us involved and deeply invested in the Middle East, especially since in the last 20 years. That maybe there is a reconsideration and a recalculation that's going on, and I hope to God that that continues to be the case in the forthcoming days. But I feel a little foolish for getting wrapped up in this apocalyptic fervor, because ultimately, you think about those posts that happened during this whole nightmarish event. Trump kills Soleimani with a drone. He gets on Twitter. He searches American flag, finds the first image that he can, and then just tweets it with no filigree. After the rocket attacks in Iran, that Iran did, not in Iran, after the rocket attacks on American air bases in Iraq, instituted by Iran, their government gets on Twitter and puts up a giant Iranian flag. And this is actually the war. The war The speed of information transition that we have right now means that events and records of events are practically the same thing. It used to be an event would happen, news of that event would travel, and it would take there would be a long enough time, even when you're dealing with like, you know, television or something, there would be a long enough delay between an event occurring and that event being recorded and broadcast and transmit, that the event and the record would be distinct. And that is kind of no longer the case. And there have been special instances where that was not the case, such as, like, you know, the killing of John F. Kennedy, where everybody saw the president get shot on live television, or a killing of Robert Kennedy, which interesting story about the killing of Robert Kennedy. Howard Hughes in 1968 owned I believe the CBS affiliate in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he was living as a hermit on the top floor of the Desert Inn, and they were the only people broadcasting from RFK's hospital after he was shot by Sirhan Sirhan in the Las Vegas area when RFK actually died. So I've been reading a book of Howard Hughes's stolen memos that he would transmit to his various functionaries across the country. Howard Hughes, of course, being a massive oligarchical power in the United States of the 20th century. And he was just thrilled to death that his television station got that exclusive broadcast right, that it was on the air late at night to bring that news, to bring that event to people directly. And, you know, it's monstrous, but he has right to be excited about that, because it is an exciting thing for news to be news of that variety to be instantaneously transmitted to massive amounts of people. It's a technological achievement. So fuck you, Howard Hughes. You're in your fucking nightmare, billionaire spider brain fucking darkness. You were picking up on something, which is there is tremendous currency in the record of an event being almost indistinguishable from the event itself. It gives you ownership over the actions of history that is sort of unprecedented in the history of human civilization. And we have reached a point where warfare between nation states can very accurately be described as two nation states using mass media organs, such as Twitter accounts, to throw Google image search images of one another's flags back and forth. That's the war. It's just nothing but naked nationalistic strength. Flag, 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 flag. That's what it is. It's the world's dumbest fucking flame war. I think that we may, and maybe this is optimistic, I hope to God that we have reached a phase of our civilization where eventually and inexorably there will be no war but flame war. Jesus Christ, I would much rather have these morons flaming each other on Twitter than, flaming each other in the fucking streets and blowing people up. I would much rather have that. Let them do it. Let them fight it out in Quake 3. I don't give a fuck. But, what I'm saying is you got to read everything on the internet. This is my own advice. You got to read everything on the internet as both a deliberate provocation and a lie and the absolute truth posted in ignorance. You have to take all the information that you receive through this organ in that superposition. And I am not good at doing that when it comes to war and rumors of war. Those things they freak me out deeply, and they should. They're scary fucking things. But I let myself get thrown into a brain prison about this whole thing. And I am at least feeling right now like I have a little bit more of an understanding of it. Because I don't know about moving troops. I don't know about fighting over territory. I can't tell you the difference between varieties of Scud missile or different types of drones. I don't know how to mount a campaign or defend against a campaign. I don't know anything, any practical realities of modern warfare. But I know flame wars. And I know that nobody wins them, and they make everybody involved look like fucking jack-offs. And, if the government of the United States and the Iranians look like fucking jack-offs right now, I'm not too shook. Because they are. So there you go. Anyway, hope everybody has a good week, and we'll be talking more soon. So welcome to 2020. Welcome to the zone.